Consumers of Reddit, what is something a business will do that will instantly turn you away from doing business with them? Story 1 being misleading about pricing, warranties, or financing. If I even get a hint that is happening, I will walk away. I would rather pay a little more and deal with an honest company. Story 2 if they have a website where you can view what they have in store, but don't have the price of anything, I'm sorry, but I'm not going all the way to your store to find that you probably have a ridiculous price on the item I was considering buying. Story 3 oh hi, thank you for visiting our website. Do you want to be placed on our mailing list? No, okay, it'll just hide the close button really well so you can't exit this pop-up. That, I will never visit your site again. Employees constantly trying to upsell me once I understand, but if I say no that doesn't mean try to sell me harder. I'm looking at you Valvoline oil change. Story 4 sending advertisements in the mail that is meant to look like either a personal letter card or as a late bill. One is made to trick me into thinking someone wrote me a letter or sent me a card, and since nobody ever does either, it is like a slap in the face to see it's an ad for a local car dealership or dish network. And getting a letter that is purposely made to look like a late bill pink letter final note is stamped on it, etc. makes me annoyed to have that moment of, did I forget to pay something last month? Screw you refinancing companies and other idiots that do this.
Story 5 Kiosk in the mall det toléat me when he walk past. If you want to buy your stuff he'll talk to you. If you botte me when him going somewhere else he will never ever buy your.
Story 6 when their advertised prices are drastically different than the actual ones. Especially those places near the beach that are named everything under 5 and then have 20 t-shirts. Story 7 poor website design. These days, there's no excuse, there are so many options for buying a well-made website as easy as online shopping. It's like having a street shop with no sign, or indication of what's inside. Story 8 click here for instant online quote. Okay now fill out all your requirements. Okay now give us your email address and phone number, someone will contact you later with your instant quote. Story 9 hi did you find everything fine today? Yes thanks. Did you want to open up a store charge card? No thanks, I can give you 30 off if you open one today. No I don't need another credit card. It will just take 5 minutes I said no I can give you 20 store cash literally walks out if the store without my item screw that place. Never again. Story 10 I shared this on another thread recently, but years ago I had just moved into a new neighborhood and I went to Walgreens to drop off a prescription. It was going to be like 30 minutes, so I decided to walk around and see the stores that were in that area. There was a liquor store that looked interesting, so I went inside. I had a liquor store like a block from my apartment, but I like trying new beers and bourbons, so I wanted to see the selection they had compared to the other place. I walked around the store checking things out and they had a few things I hadn't tried before, so I figured I would come by here some other day and buy since I had a bunch of beer at home already. I thank the cashier and head for the exit. He scoffs and says, "What, you're not gonna buy anything?" I apologized and said I was just looking around and he rolls his eyes and scoffs again before raising his arms and saying, "Unbelievable, I was the one that couldn't believe it, I have never had that experience in a store before." Ended up not going back there again and sticking to the place near my apartment because of that. Story 11 screw up and don't make it right. Things can go wrong, I get it, own it and make it right and you have kept a customer. Try to shift blame and wash your hands of the problem and you have seen my last dollar. Story 12 getting the runaround from customer service. Twice now, I've received incorrect charging or missing items from my purchase from one store in particular. The first time, customer service was wonderful and I got a refund. The second time, I had to email the company twice to get any response. Was told someone from my local store would be in contact despite ordering online. The store finally called, I explained the situation, and they said they would send the item right away and would call me back for my details. They never called me back, so at that point I just wanted my money back. Come to find out, they didn't have the item in the store the person called me from, so I won't do business with them again. Story 13 I was shopping online, and in the bottom of the page, a box popped up saying I could message them on Facebook Messenger if I had questions. I decided against purchasing items from that site. Over the next 3 days, I received about 15 messages from the company via Facebook Messenger, asking me to come back to the site for a 15 off coupon or whatever. I ignored the first few but eventually I snapped and responded that they needed to fire their marketing staff because their messages were borderline harassment. Not only would I never purchase something from them, I tell anyone considering purchasing from them that they are stalkers. To my surprise, a human answered, apologized, and stopped messaging me. This incident was part of the reason I got rid of FB, but any type of aggressive marketing is a sure no-go for me. Story 14 if I see or hear you yelling or cursing at your staff, baby-talking or condescending them in any way, I will get up and leave. If I see that one of your employees looks like they're about ready to cry and you're not even trying to figure out what's wrong, I will get up and leave. If I get any inkling that you think mistreating your employees will somehow make yourself look better, I will get up and leave. All of the shittiest possible reviews on every review site I can think of. Story 15 use religious symbols as part of their signage or advertising. Jesus fish on every piece of literature from a company would make me run. I've had near 100 bad luck with anyone that does this. Story 16 as a young female who is starting a business with expensive equipment photography videography anywhere that ignores metals to my boyfriend instead of me while I'm trying to spend thousands of dollars on equipment. If you can't be bothered to ask why I've been standing in front of a 3000 drone for 20 minutes, then I will go online instead. He'll go into a store alone and get zero service even if I try and call someone over. If Mai is with me he gets instant service. Pisses me off beyond words. The amount of times I've been ignored or just brushed off because I'm a woman in the electronics section is infuriating. I typically do all shopping online now for equipment. However, my local Best Buy hired someone who knew me years ago and has been amazing every time I go into the store. I will only buy from the store if he is working. Thanks Adam for saving me $175 from my last 2 purchases. Story 17. Not allowing customers right to repair their own products. Bullshit is what it is. I paid for the product and I want to repair it myself. Companies deliberately don't provide repair or workshop manuals for cars, bikes, washing machines or refrigerators. Something proprietary tech bullshit excuse. Such companies can go rot in. Looking at you Honda. If someone can provide or tell me where to look for workshop manual for Honda 1.5-liter IDTech engine, then it would be much appreciated. Story 18. Sites that force me to remove ad block, but immediately force 38 ads down my throat. I swear sites nowadays don't even care about how many ads they have. Consumer navigation experience. Story 19. One business recently did this to me and it made me really mad. I tried calling them, and I got the message that all representatives are busy. That happens, I don't mind waiting on hold, but then instead of giving me the option to wait, the message just said, call back later and hung up on me. So I waited a bit, tried calling back, then the message did the same thing. All representatives are busy. Call back later, click, thank you, no that's rude and I didn't like that. Story 20. I work in a service-based industry and we will not work with anybody who does not respond to us within a day, even if you just let us know you received our email or just need more time to get the information for us. Acknowledging us promptly is a sign you care about our business. If you can't be bothered to do that, then we will find someone else who can. Story 21. How a Ford dealer lost a sale. I was considering a new Mustang. I wanted to sleep on it. He said if I signed right then and there he'd knock $1,000 off after saying earlier there was nothing he could do on price. I pushed the paper back and told him his dishonesty cost him the sale. If he could knock it down $1,000 then and there, he could have done it before, and can do more. He was not negotiating in good faith. No sale. Story 22. The most head-scratching thing a business has done that made me immediately resolve not to use them was a swimming pool installation company. There are about 5 or 6 locally, and I went to each one to get a basic package and pricing list so my husband and I could get an idea of what we wanted and who we wanted to get quotes from. One salesman acted like I was asking him for a kidney. He said, seriously, you want a price list? I'd already got a couple so I couldn't see what the issue was, and he said they couldn't give me one because they didn't want customers comparison shopping. Story 23. Not me, but my boss once bought a brand new truck. He needed a bed cover so he contacted a company near us that specializes in aftermarket bed covers. They offered a single product brand new truck model, didn't have any choices. Gave him a quote. He eventually took it in and had the install done by the company. A few days later I'm loading the bed and noticed the paint along both sides of the rail are down to complete bare metal, and the bed cover was the cause. He called the installers, sent email with pics, and they claimed it was on him to make adjustments. He called the manufacturer to confirm and they went full Switzerland and wouldn't pick a side, and instead cited their contract 48-page document, and on page 30 something it stated the installer must check for friction points and adjust accordingly. He showed this to the installer and they refuted any responsibility due to him being the owner and should have known and would not do anything. He had to have the entire bed repainted and won't ever use that brand cover again, and makes a point to tell people to avoid the install shop. It's things like this that make me understand why retaliation is so common. A literal 5-minute conversation about adjusting would have prevented this. Story 24. If they actively work against my self-interests. Hey, race an example. I'm epileptic. I use medical cannabis to help with symptoms. Medical cannabis in Pennsylvania is obscenely expensive. I'm talking $60 to $70 eighths. We've also had issues with shortages. So many patients are clamoring for the right to home grow. Companies like Ilera are actively lobbying to keep home grow illegal in order to maintain their revenue stream. I'm not going to pay someone who is going to in turn use that money to hurt me financially. Story 25. If the prices are not displayed on the front page, and you have to submit any sort of info before you can see a rough estimate, I'm out of there. Even just a simple range is fine. I hate having to go through monotonous forms to give them all of my info, when they end up just quoting the same amount to everyone anyways. All sorts of businesses, from carpet cleaners to pet insurance. Pull this, I hate it. Story 26. Fuzzy's Taco Shop decided to authorize their own tip when I paid with my debit card. I tried contacting them via their website to ask why they charged me more than what my receipt says, but all I've heard is crickets so far. Story 27. When I call to get bids for any home-related work, 60 to 75 of companies will never even return my call after leaving a message. To me, that means you don't care about new clients, and you'll never chase someone to get a bid. Story 28. If they are driving around like an absolute, while their car or more often a lifted, brought-out work truck is decked out in company infographics, I make a note to never use that company. How idiotic are some people? Story 29. I personally will be less frequent to places that push their membership bullshit. I don't blame the employee, but I think memberships are very predatory and dumb. Most of the franchise owners will be fined by the parent company for not meeting a certain amount of memberships per quarter, and the fine for where I have worked is usually $1,000. Just for not getting people to sign up for some BS membership program. One place I worked threatened to fire me if my sign-ups per quarter fell under a certain percent. I think it is stupid. These things should be optional for customers, not something we feel is being pushed in our faces because the employee is just trying to keep their job. Story 30. I was recently standing in line with a gift from my mom, a ridiculously pricey pair of slippers, but I knew she'd love them. The sizing was weird. I know her foot size relative to mine, so I confirmed they could be returned unworn after Christmas. I was told no, it was X number of business days till Christmas, so they would not be returnable. I was a little thrown as almost all stores will make an exception for Christmas. I was told to buy them online. I was standing at the cash holding them. I asked if the return policy for online shipping was different and was told yes, that Target and harass me when I'm not even interested in their products. We just happened to make eye contact, aka mall kiosks. Story 31. There's this weird kiosk in the mall near my office. I walk through the mall daily to go get my Tims, and every day one of them say either hey buddy can I ask you a question or hey would you like this while holding something out. The staff changes every couple weeks and they always have a heavy accent. I have never talked to them because I know the gimmick. One guy though started making tsdsdsdsds noises at me once and I almost kicked his. I'm a grown man, don't treat me like a pet, you can call you creep. I vowed to never even step within 5 feet of the place, and whenever they try to hold out their gifts to me I just loudly say sorry I have a girlfriend and am not into you, or other remarks to make them leave a couple other passerbys alone. There's a certain way to be a salesperson without disrespecting consumers. Story 32. When I cannot look at the page without constant pop-ups of someone in Egypt purchased this shirt 2 hours ago, someone in Tasmania. Australia purchased these socks 25 minutes ago, someone in Shithiel. South Carolina purchased this phone case 3 hours ago, good God, just stop. I enter, business, our product that you use which used to be a one-time payment, is now on a subscription model, isn't that great? I leave the land of torrents is more appealing every day. Story 33. I recently uninstalled TunnelBear VPN, and there was a picture of a crying bear of their logo and a text I thought we were friends. I know it is a joke, but God, that only solidified my decision of uninstalling the app. Story 34. Minimum dollar amounts for purchases. Subway argued with me a few years back over my $4.73 sandwich and my not wanting to buy a cookie to bring it over 5. Okay, McDonald's is better, faster, cheaper, and let's be honest, probably fresher anyway. Story 35. Different online pricing vs in-store pricing. The same book at Barnes & Noble might be $10 to $20 more in store. That's a surefire way to have me not shop in your store and only go online. And then at that point, I might as well use Amazon because the prices are the same or better and the shipping is faster. Story 36. Intrude into politics. Donate your profits to whomever you want. But when use your business product to openly pander to one group or another, I just have to roll my eyes. Story 37. Podcasts tend to get the same advertisers over and over. I listen to them to make sure the data reflects I saw them, make sure the podcasts I like are getting supported. I'm even a current subscriber to Stitch Fix, and a past subscriber to NatureBox, and I even shopped for a Casper mattress, didn't end up buying it though. HDDGM has a current sponsor I always skip, Simply Safe. I hate their ad, it reads like clickbait lies. Cops don't respond to security alarms. Unless it's our alarms, they make outrageous promises of completely safe homes, which is impossible. It all sounds so sketchy and I can't believe they're getting still more airtime. Story 38. I went to a computer repair shop because my hard drive crashed. I went to the best-known store in town. I started asking a couple of questions about my chances of recovering the data. The person behind the counter got this conceited grin on his face that said I know more than this idiot, and I enjoy that I now get to explain something to him. He started talking to me like I was disabled, no hint of respect for me at all. He was just the type of guy who loved knowing more than others, and loved people to know that he knew more than them. I walked out the door and said, if you treated me with respect, you'd have got my business. On my way out, never went back. I hope he treated the next guy better. Story 39. 2 days ago, I walked to a game store in 32-degree weather. I was really excited because I just built a new pauper deck, and couldn't wait to make it a real thing. The store website said it opened at 330. The sign on the door said it opened at 330. I sat outside the store in a thin sweater waiting for someone to open it. An hour and a half later, the owner of the store came from the next door nail salon and opened the shop. None of her cards were cataloged. She didn't know what she was talking about when it came to anything but pretended like she did, and I watched her rip off some parent looking for Pokemon cards. I work at an LGS and it really made me appreciate my boss. While he can be kind of he always provides a pleasant, honest, and fair space. Story 40. Make it look like I'm eligible for a huge discount when the fine print actually makes me ineligible, or cuts the discount down to 110 the amount. Cough cough Verizon. Story 41. If your ad pops up in the middle of a video in either YouTube or Facebook, I will go out FO my way to avoid your product. I love Kroger. It's my favorite place to buy groceries and gas. It was a hard 6 months that I avoided them out of spite after they interrupted a video. I know that they will never know about my boycott or why it happened, but I will still do it out of principle. Story 42. If half of the website is just ads, don't expect me to be buying anything of them anytime soon, because it shows that they are money hungry and don't really value the customers. Story 43. If your radio ads include any of the following: emergency siren, horn honking, tire screeching, other traffic noises, alarm clock, air horn, baby crying, any misspelling of the word car set to music. Story 44 Really annoying radio ads. Like car dealership dudes, go yourself, I wouldn't take a car from you dickbags for free, any type of woke, just sell your product and off with social justice. Not only is it annoying to have politics shoehorned into my gum purchase, but generally it shows me a company doesn't have its priorities together, and I can expect a decline in quality of product. Story 45 Mailing lists before I even see an item hiding prices until checkout, asking me a dozen times to sign up for a store card, looking at UFYAU asshats, markups on items before Black Friday, looking at Newegg, devices that require subscription services to even use them properly. My mom got one of those Ring video doorbells, and you can't even save video onto a card. It's all cloud bullshit that requires a subscription fee. Changing from a one-time fee to a subscription fee, Adobe can honestly get its headquarters burned to the ground for their greed. Mystery boxes, they're just annoying gimmicky ways to dump products that won't sell, free or discounted subscriptions only if you purchase a bulk subscription plan. ExpressVPN does this, and it's really annoying. Shutter does it too. Any noticeable drop in product quality, most home appliances are trash these days. Always buy industrial-grade equipment for your home. Car manufacturers pushing long-term loans because they market vehicles that are way too expensive to consumers who cannot afford it. When I find out how badly a company treats its employees, lying. Was waiting all day on a package, which is now missing because the postman lied about delivering it and made my needed phone disappear. The last one got stolen and I need it for work, paid extra for express delivery, real scummy. Story 46 adding me to their mailing list after I specifically unchecked the option to do so, refusing to honor unsubscribes, then having to ask me a dozen times to answer a 29-question survey about my experience. Story 47 Creepy sales tactics. To this day I refuse to use PNC Bank because of an encounter I had with a salesperson back in 2008 or so. They had a branch at my school, and ID just waited in line at the ATM to check my balance. Because we didn't have banking in our pockets back then, I didn't get my first smartphone until the end of 2011. I thought ID shielded myself enough using my body to cover what I was doing, but apparently not, because this sales guy managed to scope out that ID inserted a card from another bank and ambushed me with his spiel as I walked away from the ATM. The only way he could have known this would have been if he'd gotten close enough behind me to read my bank off my card while I was putting it in or out of the ATM. As it wasn't displayed on the screen, it was super creepy and invasive that he checked out what card I had and what I was using the ATM for. I'm actually extremely paranoid about ATMs in general now, as clearly my frame isn't large enough to stop people from being able to creep my business while I use them. I honestly had no idea he was so close. I feel like I should have felt him in my personal space, but I didn't. It makes me wonder if it was possible they had a camera or something. Creepy no matter what. Story 48 Aftercare. When I buy your product or service, I expect you to take responsibilities if there's a defect or a mistake. Make sure you are apologetic and make things right. If you choose to make excuses and reason with me, then I'm done with you. I'm going to spread the word that you offer horrible customer service and discourage them from doing business with you. Story 49 I'm not going to say who. I was getting some food at a cafe and I was there with my girlfriend, I'm a female, and was holding her hand, and someone saw that and she worked there and told us to leave because they don't like our kind here. Like WTF, this just told me and my girlfriend to leave because they don't like our kind here, so I left and went somewhere else. Story 50 Nickel and Dime Me. Borderlands 3 for example, installed it on PC from Epic, took my time getting into it, realized that it was a broken game, tried everything terrible, told them, asked for my money back because it was too buggy. They said sorry because it had been on for 150 minutes, more than 120. Uninstalled the game and Epic, disputed the charge with my credit card company, got my money back, and Epic lost my business forever. Story 51 When they wear their religion politics on their sleeve, Papa John's for their open opposition against the ACA. Don't to the F would I want a bunch of sick employees fixing my pizza. Hobby Lobby, Chick-fil-A, Home Depot, Carl's Jr. won't be getting my money. If they want to make their business a political symbol, then they must not want my business if I disagree with their views. From a business perspective, this is just dumb anyway. Story 52 Vocal support of Trump. Most super wealthy and large corporations do support him, at least tacitly. They are looking out for their own repugnant interests, but when you have to get out the bullhorn and shout about your actually repugnant views beyond rent-seeking and tax avoidance, I have some problems with that, and he'll vote with my wallet. I haven't bought from LL Bean or Home Depot or Purple Pillow since he was elected. Story 53 Get political, provide your product or service, and do the best business you can, hold your ethics and morals, but don't intertwine that with your business in a way that they become inseparable. Story 54 Jesus Fish in your advertising. I'm not for or against your beliefs, but if you're trying to use your beliefs to imply trustworthiness, I call bullshit. Story 55 I stopped going to Starbucks when they asked officers in Tempe, Arizona to leave their store because a customer felt unsafe. Luckily, Vegas has some amazing local coffee shops and I've been perfectly fine without. Story 56 When nobody ever picks up the phone. I understand that now and then there isn't always someone available to answer, but when it happens every time I call it starts to get frustrating. Story 57 Being pushy, not giving me a chance to think it over. When my husband and I were looking to buy life insurance, one of the reps was very pushy. Basically said that if I care about my family, I wouldn't leave without buying. Instant no. Especially for big purchases. If you don't want to give me time to do my own research and think about it even 24 hours, then you aren't getting my business. Story 58. When I have to deal with a certain person to process a claim, but the person doesn't answer their phone, and they don't work past 3 p.m., which is not convenient to me at all. Story 59. Offering a bunch of discounts and coupons to new customers but never return customers. It means I will be a customer once you have demonstrated your product isn't worth the normal price and you don't care about your existing customer base. Story 60. How much is shipping? Click, how much is shipping, ad name, how much is shipping, ad address, etc. How much is shipping, enter credit card information. Nope, I'm done. Story 61. A parking lot full of potholes. Ads such as all jeans 50% off, exclusions apply, then all jeans aren't 50% off, inconsistent product and service in a restaurant or fast food place, too nosy about items buying, etc. Any plans this weekend and similar dumb questions, pushing store credit card too much, bad return policy. Story 62. I absolutely dislike when you're trying to check out anywhere and the staff are having a personal conversation and they ignore you, don't greet you, and continue their conversation like you're not even there. Story 63. Being unreliable with hours of operation. The worst was a great Greek eats place that would never follow their hours of operation. Plenty of times I'd make the trip there and it would be closed despite claiming to be open. I eventually gave up. Story 64. I received this text from a vendor one day. This is redacted. We received your inquiry. Can you briefly describe what you are looking for? Available to speak at 7:14. Blessings. If you are trying to make a sale, you should probably not text your potential customers like this. When I called her out on it, she said, we are learning the sales things. We are mostly science folks. I don't care what kind of special you're running this month. I'm not buying your hemp seed if your salespeople don't know how to communicate like adults, you asshat. Story 65. Being rude, racist to employees. Hiring rude employees. They'll hire people who sympathize with, so we'll know they'll be the same, and that is where the money goes. And bad response to serious complaints. Story 66. Well, Ted Baker London just did it to me today. Bought one of their icon bags in store to take advantage of the 30 off Black Friday sale. Picked one bag out of 3, as the other 2 had visibly shoddy stitching and the one I chose was seemingly okay. Got home, noticed the stitching was god-awful and crappy in basically a number of places, and it was just hard to see inside the Ted Baker boutique. Emailed corporate the pics, not asking for anything, but at least expecting them to ask me for store and product info so they can make sure it doesn't happen again. They basically sent me a stock response of, we actually have very strict quality standards and you should probably just return the bag. They basically don't give a, well, that's exactly what I'm gonna do, and I'll also never buy anything made by Ted Baker ever again, nor recommend anything by them ever again. Will also badmouth them any chance I get from now on. If their stitching sucks on a simple tote bag, imagine how much of a ripoff their regular priced bags and clothing is. Edited for typos. Story 67. I travel for work 100, so I eat out often. If I'm looking online at the restaurants near me, I will not choose one that does not have a website. As well, I will bypass any that uses Facebook as their web page. Story 68. Text me without making it obvious that I was subscribing to some sort of text mailing list. It makes me angry enough that I search out every eating avenue for the business and 1 star then. Story 69. When billion-dollar companies release ad campaigns about social or political issues and try to take a moral high ground on something, drives me crazy every single time. Gillette was the most recent one and I no longer use any of their products. I know the company does not care, but neither do I. I feel better supporting companies that are there to sell a quality product and nothing more. Story 70. Slapping the PETA logo on the ad as they assure you it's not tested on animals. Yeah, like I'm going to buy something that uses a logo from an organization that kills animals. Story 71. Advertising that plays on the retail therapy idea, or things like, we want to tell your husband you bought insert silly useless item. I get that all advertising is encouraging consumerism, but I don't like companies that blatantly advocate for reckless consumption. Edit. I just saw a photo that says nothing haunts us like the things we didn't buy. Yeah, that kinda makes me mad. Story 72. If you offer some service, plumber, electrician, general contractor, etc., and you don't pick up your phone, don't call back, or don't even have a voicemail set up, that's a pretty good indication you don't want my business. I'm going to go with the person who does pick up. Story 73. Going to sound weird, but advertising too hard. Sure, it doesn't work with everything. Some industries need to advertise or be swarmed by local competition. There are a million types of washing up liquid, but for some products, over-marketing can be the sign of a bad product. Gaming, for example. Some of the greatest games don't really need to advertise because their existence is spread through great word of mouth, and the number of people it has to daisy chain through filters out the. Therefore, if you're hearing about a game through your friends, it's probably worth looking into. Whereas if you're seeing an advert on the side of a London bus, then it's probably hot. Nobody is singing its praises to the point that you hear about it through peers, and the fact that the marketing company has the clout to purchase expensive billboard-type advertising probably means A, it's a big publisher-run operation, devoid of creativity, B, their budget is funneled away from the talent, both of which are potential red flags. Story 74. Aggressive business practices. A DW Fresh Market near me went out of business. 3 weeks before they did. A Harding's nearby put up a sign which said welcoming DW customers, And below that looking for experienced workers with history in retail like son, wait till the corpse is cold. I avoid shopping at Harding's now. Story 75. Any form of advertising or sales technique. If I need something that you supply, I'll find you. Get your attempts at subverting human psychology for money out of here. Story 76. Hiding fees until you go through steps to sign up or create something and then they tell you have to pay, saying a service is free when it really isn't, selling my contact info to other businesses, tacking on fees they never told me about previously, too much upselling, inferior products or services. Story 77. Takes a large political stance when their product has nothing to do with any of it, Red Bull, Nike, just make the energy drinks and shoes stay in your lane. Story 78. We take insert woke value here very seriously at company name. Yeah, I bet you do as long as it's profitable. If you want to gain my trust, do something, words are cheap. Story 79. Racism, any hint and I'm out. As a black guy there's really two versions of it. They act like you can't afford it or act like you're gonna steal, like you know I can buy this online, probably for cheaper, right? Meanwhile Becky is literally stuff her pockets and you're asking about her dog while she's doing it. Story 80. Brands and corporations pretending to care and speak for different trendy political social issues. I feel like being as a mindless idiot when my milk cartoon tells me how to think. Story 81. If I have to check online, call the store and check in store for the best pricing. I want shop there. The price should be the same on every piece of marketing. Story 82. Trying to continue to sell to me even after I'm through the door. I cannot even begin to explain how aggravating and antagonizing I find Netflix's autoplay of trailers. For example, Jesus Christ, just let me relax and pick a movie. I'm not in a casino and you're not a video poker machine. If my girlfriend would let me, I love more than anything in the world to cancel Netflix just for that. Story 83. Unfriendly unsubscription processes. When I want to cancel something, have a big button letting me do it. Don't say okay you have to go here, only to click through 4 things to get there, to find more hoops to jump through, or having to call to cancel. I'm looking at you browsers. Story 84. Support of anti-LGBT anti-equality. Only recently have I heard that Chick-fil-A has stopped donating to the anti-LGBT. Not sure if it's even true or not, but since hearing that, I've now considered actually getting food there. Being part of that community myself, I haven't wanted to do anything to help them get any more money towards the inequality of people. Story 85. When a contractor has Trump stickers all over their vehicle, I don't care if you can build me the Sistine Chapel for $10 in an hour, I don't want all that on your truck and all that in your attitude on my property. Plus, it's crass to put political or religious stickers on a work vehicle, so if your judgment is already that poor, your work will probably too.